Welcome to the Deep Dive. If you want to get informed fast and deep, well, you're in the right place. Today, we're tackling one of biology's greatest hits, you could say, the giraffe's neck. But we're looking at it through a new lens, using sources that introduce something called the feedback mechanism, or FM. It really challenges the classic story. For what? 150 years, the explanation for that long neck has basically been a two-horse race in textbooks.
That's right. You had Lamarck way back when. His idea was pretty intuitive, really. Ancestors stretched their necks for leaves,
Right.
and somehow that effort, that acquired trait, got passed down directly.
Simple, almost elegant. But Darwin came along and changed the game.
Completely. Darwinism, especially with modern genetics, it paints a different picture. It's about random variation. Some giraffes were just born, by chance, with slightly longer necks. Pure luck. And those lucky ones had an edge. Better food access, better survival, more offspring. So over, vast amounts of time, the whole population shifts towards longer necks. It's selection acting on random mutations passed through the germline, the sperm and egg.
And that Darwinian view, that's really the foundation, isn't it? But these sources, particularly one called Darwinism Evolved, they argue Darwin got selection right, but maybe missed something about the speed and the direction of change. This feedback mechanism, FM, it suggests the environment isn't just a passive filter, but actively shapes things faster.
Exactly. It sort of bridges that gap between Lamarck's idea of effort mattering and Darwin's focus on inheritance. Okay, let's unpack this because it's fascinating. What if the parent adapting to its environment? What if that adaptation sent a direct signal? Not waiting for random luck, but influencing the embryo in, well, real time.
Whoa, okay. Direct signal. That sounds
Yeah.
big. Are we saying randomness isn't the main driver then? Is this anti-Darwinian?
Not necessarily anti-Darwinian, more like an upgrade. Or maybe you're rebalancing. Think of it like this. Random mutations provide the raw options, maybe like the colors on an artist's palette. But FM suggests the environment acts more like a sculptor, or maybe even a stencil, immediately guiding how those options are used during development. It makes the environment's role more direct, more immediate.
Okay, I need the mechanics here. How does this actually work? Let's go back to the giraffe. Picture the scene. Maybe a drought hits, wipes out low-hanging leaves. Suddenly, everything edible is way up high. Survival means reaching.
Right, that's the environmental pressure.
Yeah.
Now, FM focuses on what happens inside the adult giraffe that's constantly straining upwards. This is what the source calls the adult adaptation phase. It's not just muscle stretching, it's a deep physiological response to that repeated effort.
What kind of response? Like building more muscle?
More than just muscle. Think about the challenge. Pumping blood 6 feet straight up. That needs incredible circulatory power. So when the giraffe is forced to stretch constantly, the body recognizes this huge demand. It starts actively redirecting resources, energy, building blocks, diverting them specifically to strengthen the neck muscles, yes, but also the bones, the connective tissues, and critically, the whole cardiovascular system needed to handle that pressure.
Okay, so the parent's body is in full-on adaptation mode. But the really wild part, according to this FM idea, is this is happening while an embryo is developing inside.
Precisely. That's the next step, direct gestation influence. The embryo isn't in some isolated bubble. It's bathed in the parent's internal environment. And that environment has changed because of the parent's effort. The source argues that's the key difference from standard theory. The parent's physiological shift creates a direct chemical signal for the embryo.
So it's not about a changed gene getting passed down slowly through sperm or egg. The signal is happening during pregnancy through, like, hormones or something.
Exactly. It's chemical, physiological. The parent is mobilizing specific growth factors, hormones, nutrients, whatever's needed to beef up its own neck and cardiovascular system. And these concentrated factors cross the placental barrier, reaching the embryo. They don't rewrite the embryo's DNA sequence, but they influence how that DNA is expressed. Which genes get turned up, which get turned down, especially in the relevant developing tissues.
Wow, so the parent's effort basically generates like a chemical instruction manual for the embryo, a direct message saying, heads up, you're going to need a super strong neck and heart. Start building them robustly right now.
That's what we mean by priming the offspring. The embryo is pre-adapted, in a way, set up for the specific challenges the parent is facing before it's even born. It's like, Okay, Darwinian evolution is like waiting for random blueprints, hoping one shows up with a stronger roof just before a hurricane hits. Yeah. FM is like the parent seeing the storm clouds gathering now and immediately sending extra materials and instructions to the construction site for the kid's house, telling them to reinforce the roof during construction.
That changes everything about the speed of evolution, doesn't it? It feels inherently faster than waiting generations for the right random mutation to pop up and get selected.
It does. And this plays out over generations, which is where FM offers a different view of evolutionary tempo. Think about reinforcement. If that tough environment only high leaves available persists, the process repeats. Generation after generation, embryos develop exposed to those same internal signals, those same concentrated growth factors from the straining parent. So the adaptation, like the longer neck and its support systems, gets reinforced directionally, generation by generation during development.
So the source implies that when the environment is stable, evolution might actually be quite slow. Random variation happens, but there's no strong pressure, no intense FM signaling.
That seems to be the idea. Stability means minimal change via FM. The baseline Darwinian process ticks along slowly.
Hmm.
But when the environment shifts drastically, think post-mass extinction, rapid climate change, that sort of thing, that's when FM kicks into high gear. The parental stress response is extreme, the internal signaling is intense, embryos developing under these radically new pressures are immediately shaped by them. Adaptation becomes rapid, directional, because development itself is being guided before birth.
So, big picture, this reframes evolution. It's not just slow, gradual slopes. It could also be these rapid jumps driven by environmental crises, forcing developmental reprogramming.
It really tries to synthesize things. Lamarck's focus on the environment and effort, Darwin's selection. FM provides a potential mechanism connecting them. It shows how the environment could directly influence development in real time. It helps explain how adaptation might accelerate dramatically when needed. Development isn't just passively waiting for genetic instructions, it's actively responding to environmental cues passed down from the parent's physiology. This gives a head start that genetic selection can then lock in later.
Okay, let's bring this home. For you listening, what does this FM concept really mean? If you're used to the random chance over millions of years story, this adds a layer of, well, directedness, almost purpose, driven by the environment. It definitely pushes us to think critically about how development biology might be a much more active player in evolution than we usually assume.
Absolutely. The core idea that a parent's immediate physiological state, their stress response, can directly prime the offspring's development, that's a powerful concept. It means the next generation isn't just getting a random shuffle of genes. They might be starting with a body plan already tilted towards surviving the current reality. Starting ahead, you might say.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If this developmental feedback can reshape our understanding of something as iconic as the giraffe's neck, what other evolutionary puzzles might look different if we factor in this kind of direct environmental influence on development rather than just pure, slow randomness?
And that leads to a thought, building on the source material. If parental physiology under stress primes the offspring, what are the implications today? Think about modern human stressors, chronic stress, maybe certain diets, environmental exposures. Could these be sending signals that shape the developmental starting points for the next generation in ways we haven't fully considered? We're not stretching for leaves, but the environment is certainly pressuring us.
A lot to think about there. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Darwinism Evolved and this fascinating feedback mechanism.
Indeed. We hope you'll join us next time as we explore another field of knowledge.